Yo, I need you to really lock in for this one, because this might be the closest thing to a confession the internet thinks we're ever gonna get. And it didn't come from Kai, it didn't come from Gigi, and it definitely didn't come from a tweet. It came from footage of NBA YoungBoy himself. Footage that dropped right after Cenat announced he was single. Footage that fans are now saying lines up way too perfectly with the cheating allegations. And footage that, depending on how you hear it, sounds like YoungBoy straight up acknowledging what everybody's been whispering about. Now listen, I'm not saying this is a signed affidavit, but I am saying once you hear what he says and you see the timing, I understand exactly why people are calling this an admission. So if you thought this drama was done, nah, this is where it actually gets uncomfortable. Let's start here, because this clip didn't hit like a normal internet moment. We've seen cheating rumors before. We've seen fake screenshots, clout tweets, sources say nonsense. Usually it blows over, but this footage landed differently, and the reason is context. By the time this clip surfaced, the internet already believed three things. Kai was hurt, the breakup wasn't mutual, and something serious had happened behind the scenes. So when NBA YoungBoy starts speaking in a way that sounds reflective, almost self-aware, people weren't watching casually anymore. They were listening for confirmation. That's the dangerous part. Once people expect a confession, everything sounds like one. You can't talk about this clip without the timeline. First, a random cheating rumor goes viral linking Gigi and NBA YoungBoy. Then Kai posts that he's single and says he's done with relationships forever. Then Gigi comes out and denies cheating. Then Kai posts emotional content that clearly shows he's not okay. And then this footage surfaces. If this clip came out months earlier, nobody would care. If it came out weeks later, people would question relevance. But right here, right now, this is the worst possible moment for it to exist, which is why people are reacting the way they are. Now let's talk about the clip itself. In the footage, NBA YoungBoy is speaking casually. There's no press setup, no apology video energy, no let me clear the air moment. He's just talking. But the way he references relationships, other people's situations, and consequences, it feels pointed. It feels aware. It feels like someone speaking after something already happened. And that's what people latched onto. He doesn't say, that rumor is fake. He doesn't laugh it off. He doesn't distance himself. Instead, he speaks in a way that fans interpret as acknowledgement, like he knows exactly what people are talking about. That's where the ADMITS narrative is coming from. Here's why people aren't calling this just a clip. 1. The wording sounds personal, not hypothetical. 2. The timing is too perfect. 3. There's no denial anywhere in the footage. And in internet logic, lack of denial equals confirmation. That's not fair, but that's how people think. So now fans are saying, if nothing happened, why does he sound like this? Why now? Why speak at all? Once those questions start circulating, the footage becomes evidence in people's minds. As soon as the clip hit, timelines exploded. People reposting it saying, nah, he admitted it. Others saying, this explains why Kai crashed out. Some saying, this is why Gigi denied it so fast. And once enough people say the same thing, it stops feeling like opinion and starts feeling like consensus. That's how narratives get locked in. Let's be real. If this happened to a random streamer, people would move on. But this is Cenat, the biggest streamer in the world, a dude whose entire brand is energy, joy, chaos, and laughs. So when Kai suddenly looks drained, emotional, and done with relationships, fans don't believe it's over, nothing. This footage feels like the missing puzzle piece to explain his reaction. That's why people are holding on to it so tightly. Kai still hasn't addressed NBA YoungBoy by name, but silence doesn't calm situations like this, it fuels them. People start saying, he's not denying it for a reason. He doesn't want to make it worse. He already knows. Again, speculation, but powerful speculation. So when this footage exists alongside that silence, it feels like confirmation by default. Let's not dance around this. NBA YoungBoy's reputation makes this believable to people, whether that's fair or not. He's constantly in relationship drama. He's known for chaos. He's polarizing. So when people hear his name connected to cheating allegations, they don't question it as hard as they should. The story fits the image they already have. And that's dangerous. Here's why this clip changed everything. Footage feels raw. Footage feels unscripted. Footage feels honest. Even if it's taken out of context, viewers trust what they see more than what they're told. That's why a single clip can outweigh multiple denials. Let's be clear, no, not definitively. NBA YoungBoy does not explicitly say he cheated with Cenat's girlfriend. But does the footage sound like someone acknowledging involvement? To many fans, yes. And perception is what drives virality. Once people believe something sounds like an admission, the label sticks. This situation is rough for everyone involved. Kai is dealing with heartbreak publicly, Gigi is being accused by millions, NBA YoungBoy is being labeled without addressing it, and the footage just keeps circulating. At some point, the truth becomes less important than the narrative. Something that keeps getting overlooked is how NBA YoungBoy speaks in the clip, not just what people think he's saying. When someone wants to shut a rumor down, they usually do one of two things. They laugh it off or they directly deny it. The tone is dismissive, the energy is light. There's distance. This clip doesn't sound like that. Instead, the tone feels measured, slower, almost like someone who knows the audience already has a story in their head and isn't trying to fight it head on. That's why fans keep replaying the same few seconds over and over again, listening to the pauses, the inflection, the way he chooses his words. People aren't reacting to a sentence, they're reacting to a vibe. And vibes are dangerous online because they're impossible to disprove. The moment this footage surfaced, confirmation bias kicked in hard. Everyone who already believed the cheating allegations felt validated. They weren't asking, is this true anymore? They were asking, how long has this been going on? That's a massive shift. At that point, every detail gets reinterpreted. Old clips feel suspicious. Past interactions feel intentional. Even coincidences start looking planned. This is how the internet moves from speculation to conviction without ever stopping at evidence. One of the most repeated comments under the footage is some version of, notice how he didn't deny it. That argument pops up every time a rumor reaches this level, and it's one of the most powerful and flawed ways people decide guilt. Not denying something publicly doesn't automatically mean it's true. Some people don't respond because it adds fuel. Some don't respond because lawyers advise against it. Some don't respond because the rumor is too ridiculous to acknowledge. But online, silence is interpreted emotionally, not logically. So when NBA YoungBoy doesn't explicitly shut it down in that moment, people fill in the silence with meaning. Another uncomfortable layer to this whole situation is the comparison people are making between Kai and NBA YoungBoy, even if nobody says it out loud. You've got Kai, who's seen as disciplined, positive, community-driven, almost wholesome in internet terms. Then you've got YoungBoy, who carries a rebellious, chaotic, unpredictable image. Whether fair or not, fans start turning this into a story of opposites, and stories like that spread fast. It becomes less about what actually happened and more about what feels believable based on character archetypes. That's how narratives get simplified and weaponized. This is where things become really unfair. Gigi denied cheating clearly and directly, but a denial is static. It doesn't evolve. It doesn't go viral the same way. Footage, on the other hand, is dynamic. It can be clipped, reframed, slowed down, zoomed in on. People can project meaning onto it endlessly. So even if her denial is true, it's fighting against something that feels more real to viewers. That imbalance is why narratives like this are almost impossible to reverse. For Kai, this footage changes how people interpret his emotional state. Before, people saw heartbreak. Now, many fans believe they see betrayal. That's a different kind of pain. And once fans believe betrayal is involved, they become more defensive, more aggressive, and more invested. It stops being about Kai healing and starts being about Kai being wronged. That's a heavy label to carry publicly. Some people are saying Kai should just come out and say what happened, but that's easier said than done. If Kai speaks, he risks reigniting the story. If he names names, it escalates. If he denies it, people accuse him of lying. If he confirms anything, it becomes permanent. Sometimes the smartest move online is silence, even though silence is uncomfortable. The problem is that silence has a cost, and right now, that cost is speculation. Even if this blows over in a few weeks, the footage isn't going anywhere. It'll be referenced in future drama, it'll resurface in comment sections, it'll be used as context, whether it deserves to be or not. That's how internet memory works. One clip can follow someone for years, regardless of the truth behind it. At the core of the situation is a bigger issue. The internet doesn't wait for answers anymore. It decides first, then looks for evidence later. In this case, a rumor created a question, silence created suspicion, footage created belief. That sequence is becoming normal, and that's dangerous for anyone with a platform. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if this footage is being misinterpreted, even if nothing actually happened, the damage is already done. Public perception doesn't rewind easily, and once millions of people feel like they saw something, changing their minds is almost impossible. That doesn't mean the allegations are true. It means the narrative is powerful. So I'll leave it here. When you watched the footage, did it feel like an admission to you? Or do you think the internet is projecting meaning onto something that wasn't meant to carry it? Because depending on how you answer that, this story looks very different. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see how people are actually interpreting this, not just repeating headlines. If you made it this far, hit that like button. It really helps push these breakdowns to people who want context, not just chaos. Subscribe if you want more deep dives like this. This is Rap Brief. I'll see you in the next one.